I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't want to hear about, oh, we're about law, we're about a law. Nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. But then you go out and you pardon your son and you try to blame everybody else for it. I don't want to hear about defund the police. I don't want to hear about, you know what, there should be open borders. I don't want to hear this stuff. And I don't think most of the American people want to hear that. We're thinking about the state of affairs that's in. We're not about America only, but being about America and prioritizing what's going on in this nation with the desolate and the disenfranchised and everybody else in between, and looking out for the best interest of what it is for America. That is not a crime for an American politician or a commander-in-chief or a senator or a congressional figure to have that mentality.
Under the current circumstances, could you see yourself voting for him?
Quite possibly. I'm not going to sit up there and dismiss that anymore.
What's going on, guys? We got to talk about the Democrat Civil War continuing because Stephen A. Smith has been torching, destroying the radical leftists. This is causing a lot of division. There's a lot of people coming out after. It's beyond the 11th hour. The 11th hour is like the last minute before 12. Like, this is past. It's overtime at this point. The election is over and all of these people are coming out and all of a sudden their blinders are mysteriously off because they're releasing reports of Joe Biden's cognitive decline being hidden, something that was already obvious. They're releasing January 6th reports about the FBI, stuff that was already obvious. I mean, guys, what rock have you been under? There's been so many videos. I've posted videos. Other people have posted videos on YouTube. People do live streams about it every day. There is TikToks about it. There's information from Congress about it. All the people in the government and on the news talk about it and expose all of these truths about the Democrats. Where the hell have you been? Lindy Lee is getting cooked for talking about the same thing.
But you know what is the worst thing to happen right now? When you have weak, sorry, pathetic, feckless, and impotent Democrats, including individuals who were members of the DNC's Finance Committee, who have nothing of value to add. They're not crafty. Lindy Lee isn't trying to say, hey, how do we craft a game plan to win governor's mansions in 2025? But poor little Lindy, if y'all go to my iPad, little Lindy has blocked me on Twitter because I was lighting her little simpleton ass up. No, all she's doing is taking her bony ass on Fox News, bitching and moaning about, oh my God, how this was so awful, how things were ran. She has nothing of value to add. Nothing. Little Lindy Lee is desperate trying to get her a Fox News contributor job.
Now with her, I feel like these people have self-inflicted wounds because Stephen A. supported Democrats regardless. And now all of a sudden, oh, I didn't know. Lindy Lee supported and fundraised for the Democrats regardless. Oh, I didn't know. You know, even though I did know, but I didn't know. I kind of feel like these people might be capping. They might be liars. You know, and there's some others, Cenk Uygur, all of a sudden, yeah, the establishment. Where the heck have you been? We knew the establishment was a problem and you still kept talking about he wants to terminate the Constitution. He's talking about executing people. Like, I'm like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you?
Democrats, wake up! Wake up! This guy's talking about executing people. And you're like, well, we wouldn't want to offend Joe Biden. He's definitely going to lose to him. But hey, we bow down to authority. Joe Biden's ego demands a second term. Screw Joe Biden's ego. We're going to lose the goddamn country to a tyrant and a dictator who's telling you ahead of time that he's going to murder people. What is wrong with you?
You see the Democrats lying, hiding Joe Biden's decline. They were doing so much stupid stuff. They installed Kamala Harris. But now you got people like Stephen A. saying, well, you know what? Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to vote for Democrats after he did it. You know, I mean, these people are like, what, twice my age? I mean, not quite all of them, but some of them are. Now they're just now learning a lesson. Good for them. I can learn from them and their stupidity. You can learn from them too, even though pretty much most of you guys are way smarter than these dummies that we're watching. But without further ado, let's go ahead and react to this video.
Stephen A. Smith, so could you see yourself seeing what you see now? And obviously Donald Trump can't run for president again, but if he could, Under the current circumstances, could you see yourself voting for him?
Quite possibly. I'm not going to sit up there and dismiss that anymore. I think we're beyond that. He would have to prove a lot, Mark. And I'm not talking about politics.
Before they continue, and I know we just got started here, but before they continue, isn't it always funny? The Democrats love to push people away when you disagree 1% with something. And then all of a sudden they attack, and then they wonder why people end up on the other side. Why they end up voting for people like Trump. You know, Trump saying, hey, come over here, you're welcome. And these people like, no, you're stupid. We don't want you over here. You wind up with nobody.
Let's see now, for a second, allow me to say this. What concerned me about Donald Trump, and the reason I voted against him and voted for Kamala Harris, was because I felt that he would be divisive, that he would create chaos because he demands such a level of loyalty and fealty to him. And that would take priority over governing our nation. That was my concern. And so I'm looking for both sides to work across the aisle from one another. Having said that, when you see some of the things that he said, if he follows through on some of the things that he has said, it's not just about eradicating inflation, improving the economy, obviously controlling our borders. These are all things that I care about, make no mistake about that. And I certainly would support him in that regard. But it can't be just about fealty to him and loyalty to him. It has to be about getting the job done on behalf of what's in the best interest of the American people, as opposed to yourself, and not engaging in the kind of juvenile tendencies, tweeting all the time and going after people who are really much irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. You do things like that and you show that you're the adult in the room, yeah. I don't think anybody could dismiss Donald Trump at this particular moment in time, not just because of him, but because of what we've seen the Democrats do. We're not falling for it any longer. The American people aren't falling for it any longer. I voted Democrat, and I got to tell you something right now. I don't like the fact that I did. I don't like what I'm saying. I don't want to hear about, oh, we're about law, we're about a law. Nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. But then you go out and you pardon your son, and you try to blame everybody else for it. I don't want to hear about
Full stop, guys. He regrets his support for the Democrats. Okay, we got a new day. Now, he didn't obviously prove it with his vote, but who knows? Maybe next time, guys. J.D. Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tulsi Gabbard, who knows? But Stephen A. Smith, now that he's getting now that he's getting beat up by his own party for just telling the truth. Now he's all of a sudden thinking about being a turncoat, okay? A little Benedict Arnold switching sides. Now, obviously, I don't think that should really be the determining factor. But, I mean, obviously it could be. If somebody kicks you out of a group, then maybe you want to join another group. But it's not just that. They don't even support... The Democrats don't even support this guy's values. When you hear about his value system, they don't even support his values. So it's like he was voting mainly for Kamala Harris. Well, he was definitely a Democrat supporter, but after Kamala jumped in, it was all about Kamala, and Howard University, and we Qs, and, you know, she's a sorority sister, and all of this stupid stuff that doesn't matter for President of the United States. You're supposed to leave that mess in college. That's why I don't like these freaking fraternities and sororities and stuff. These people are literally joining cults and they're lifelong members. But you see what happens when you turn against your cult? They try to bury you. That's why you don't join to begin with.
Defund the police. I don't want to hear about, you know what, there should be open borders. I don't want to hear this stuff. And I don't think most of the American people want to hear that. We're thinking about the state of affairs that's in. We're not about America only, but being about America and prioritizing what's going on in this nation with the desolate and the disenfranchised and every...
I mean, I'm straight up like America only. You know, I know we have other agreements with countries. I know we have to work with other nations. But in terms of like, here, you get $1 billion, you get $1 billion, hell no.
Everybody else in between, and looking out for the best interest of what it is for America. That is not a crime for an American politician or a commander-in-chief or a senator or a congressional figure to have that mentality. I want them to have that mentality. So I think about things along those lines. And I'm no longer interested in, nor do I believe any of us should be interested in listening to a bunch of fear-mongering to tell us who we shouldn't vote for. Why don't you come up with a plan that tells us why we should vote for you? That's what I'm interested in. And if
guys, it was because their argument was so weak. They knew that it wasn't going to be enough. As a matter of fact, the majority of the voters did vote based off of that fear. It's the oldest trick in the book. It's how you get people to follow certain religions. You get people to obey you, to obey the law, to vote a certain way. Fear, fear, fear is a method of control and manipulation. And fear is an okay thing to experience. It makes sense. It can be preservative to your life when it makes sense. But this wasn't just usage of fear. This was use of fear-mongering, manipulation, things that evil people do, guys. Evil people in charge do this that are up in a lot of these strong political positions. They love using fear-mongering to control people. And that's exactly what they did. They made up Project 2025. It's Donald Trump's thing. And, you know, you even have people trolling them saying, after the election, Project 2025 was Trump's plan all along. You fell for it. And then I saw a bunch of Democrats freaking out. I literally had people calling me saying, I told you you was wrong. And I was like, y'all know y'all being trolled, right? They were like, no, we saw it. And then showed the evidence, hung up in my face. And I'm like, guys, stop being foolish. Getting on my damn nerves, being stupid and so easily manipulated all the damn time. And I'm talking mainly about, I mean, it's everybody succumbs to this, but the main people I interact with in real life be black folks. And these are some of the most biggest freaking scaredy cats I've ever seen.
Trump, J.D. Vance, Byron Donald, Marco Rubio, or the host of other Republican candidates coming down the pike, that's the kind of message that they're going to put forth. I'm down for it. I'm open-minded enough to make sure that I entertain that from a policy perspective. That's what I want for the American people. That's what I want for this nation.
Man, you already know that Stephen A. Smith is going to get eaten alive. He's already getting towed up, including by some of his boys out there, like Roland Martin. If I have time, I might do a video about this freaking Democrat shill. Okay, this dude acts like he wants to lick Democrat gonads. Okay, he's like he wants to get the party off. Okay, like he has a fetish for licking Democrat balls. That's what this dude acts like, and he never criticized them at all. When people was talking about Joe Biden was old, this people was defending. When people was talking about Kamala Harris incompetent and she didn't know how to speak, he was defending it. All this transgender stuff, I mean, this dude made a defense for everything, and he pulled out a couple statistics to try to back up some of his claims. But in terms of what the people actually cared about, such as the high prices, the open borders, like the transgender insanity, he really didn't have anything for that. He just would have to pivot towards things that he thought would be beneficial, which American people weren't talking about. And it's not that people don't care about those things at all, but they don't care about them as much as their bottom line. And you got to listen, you got to meet people where they're at and what they care about. That's usually what's going to be important. Now, you can add some additional information like about World War III and stuff like that. That's relevant. But if you start talking about stuff like free college tuition, and the majority of people ain't even going to damn college, then it doesn't matter. If you talk about money for small businesses, the majority of people don't have small businesses. It doesn't matter to the majority of Americans. That stuff does matter, but to the majority of Americans, it doesn't. And that's the type of stuff that dummies like Roland Martin don't understand. But that's for another video. Stephen A. Smith here. I appreciate him actually stepping up and not being a little coward, afraid to speak truth to power. However, actions speak louder than words. He should have voted for Donald Trump. This wasn't new information. There's nothing that Stephen A. discovered, like some startling revelation. We know the truth about January 6th, especially if you've been watching this channel. We know the truth about Hunter Biden. They found crack in the White House or cocaine in the White House before during the administration. Like, give me a freaking break. The dude is clearly still on drugs. He's still a criminal. They were covering up stuff left and right. Hunter Biden laptop. They've been covering up stuff since before Joe Biden was elected. They've been making up stuff since before Trump was elected the first time. Stephen A. Smith knew about that. He still supported Joe Biden. He still supported Kamala Harris. So as far as I'm concerned, he's still a loser. But, you know, maybe he has a redemption arc. If he goes forward and supports Republicans in the future, presuming Republicans do good, and he supports Republicans in the future, maybe all can be forgiven. But those are just my thoughts, guys. Do you think Stephen A. has any possibility of redemption here because he's speaking truth to power here, or is he basically dead to you guys? Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
We're not falling for it any longer. The American people aren't falling for it any longer. I voted Democrat, and I got to tell you something right now. I don't like the fact that I did.